Hello, everybody. All right, today is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today is Tuesday, February the 4th, 2024, or 2025, rather. I'm sorry, 2025. Of course, we're going to give people a few minutes to get in here, but as always, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, as I said, we're just waiting for people to show up here. So, I was watching some cartoons earlier on YouTube and all that. I actually came across a very interesting thing when I was looking at the trivia for one of the cartoons. So I was one of the cartoons. It was actually the first cartoon I watched today. Um, it was a Betty Boop cartoon called "Old Man of the Mountain." Right. Apparently, "Old Man of the Mountain" is a term used for the leader of a Muslim sect of warriors. Um, you know, a Muslim sect of warriors known as the Hashashin. Um, and as I was reading into it a little bit, Hashashin is apparently where we get the word assassin from. So, the Hashashin are basically um, Earth's version of Klingons. Basically, in other words, they're warriors, proud warriors who are ready to die honorably and all that. But But yeah, it was very interesting. We apparently get the word assassin from the Muslim word hashishin. So interesting stuff to say the least. Let's see. So let's see. Well, okay, we're coming up on 3 minutes now, so I guess I can talk about what's on tap for tonight. So for tonight, of course, we're going to be covering a couple of articles from Bleeding Full. Obviously we're going to be tonight. There were two articles focusing in on kind of the fallout and follow up to the whole Neil Gaiman situation, Neil Gaiman sex scandal situation, including an article that talked the person who actually broke the story of the sex scandal, as it were, actually was not trying to get Neil Gaiman canceled, believe it or not. Um, we'll look into that. Also, of course, we're going to look at some more of the companies that have decided to part ways with him. As, of course, it's becoming very apparent that Neil Gaiman is becoming a pariah within the comics community, apparently. Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap-up, talk about last night's Monday Night Raw, the aftermath, of course, of the Royal Rumble as they start to prepare for WrestleMania. Well, actually, and even in their preparations for next month's Elimination Chamber. Then we'll be also looking ahead to tonight's NXT. Maybe get caught up on a little bit of AEW news as well. And then we'll, of course, finish show off with this day in each history. So without any further ado, we're coming up on 5 minutes here. Again, a friendly reminder: if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that, why don't we go ahead and let's get into the news here. Let's get into the articles here. Let me go grab that. All right, starting off with this one, of course. And both of these articles were actually published yesterday, so just to let you know. So, woman who broke Neil Gaiman's sex scandal never wanted him canceled. Article by Karina Schmidt, published yesterday, February 3rd. So, anyways, sorry about that. But, anyways, hold on. I'm going to go off camera here for another quick moment here. I'll be right back, but I'll put the music on while I'm gone. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Anyways, I'm back now, so let's, of course, get into the article here. So, Neil Gaiman, the best-selling fantasy author known for works like The Sandman and Good Omens, is facing serious allegations of sexual assault and abuse from multiple women. A Vulture report published earlier this month, or I think month, but I guess a typo was there, monthly, but it was, I guess, meant to be month, detailed accusations from 8 women, including Scarlett Pavlovich, a former nanny for Gaiman's family. Pavlovich alleged that Gaiman sexually assaulted her multiple times, including an incident in an outdoor bathtub at his New Zealand property. She filed a police complaint a year ago. So they're still investigating that complaint, I guess. The Vulture story was a follow-up to the Tortoise Media podcast series called quote unquote Master, produced by Rachel Johnson, which aired in several parts last summer. Obviously they need some better editors here. I've already picked up a couple of typos there. Now in the way of the ongoing cancellation of Neil Gaiman, Johnson has some regrets about the consequences of the story and how it has impacted a man she knows is a quote cash cow. And I guess another typo there. Probably should have had an end quote there. When it came to publishing film and TV, having sold 50 million books and one man industry, creating hundreds of jobs when those books. The thing is that maybe you should have thought a little bit more about the potential consequences before doing this story, especially in the climate we're in, right? Because this kind of stuff can be very damning, But let's continue on with the article here. So the blanket cancellation of Neil Gaiman was not my. So this is actually Rachel Johnson speaking now. This is her, I guess, claiming here. No, the blanket cancellation of Neil Gaiman was not my intention when I first heard Scarlett's story. Then the voices of 4 more females you hear in Master. My point was the compelling public interest in reporting her allegations and others like hers, which is, again, kind of the problem with with the whole Me Too movement and believe all women argument. It's funny because they covered this in the Bible too, right? Potiphar's wife. For those of you who don't know, Joseph, son of Jacob, right, was sold by his brothers into slavery to Egypt. And one day, while trying to just go about doing his duties, and of course, in the Pharaoh's, or in Potiphar's house, and going about his duties, Potiphar's wife decided that she took such a liking to Joseph that she wanted to try to seduce him. He resisted her. She ended up ripping a piece of his garment off. And then, after being rebuffed by him, decided to accuse him of trying to assault her. So, eventually things worked out, but, still, he ended up spending some time in prison for that, for something that he didn't do. If anything, he was punished for actually trying to do the right thing, right? But that's, again, another story. But that's the whole thing about we see another story in Samson and Delilah about the idea of dangers of just blindly believing people without thinking about the possible consequences and making sure that, because again, Neil Gaiman still, they just said in the article here that, the police report was filed a year ago, and yet he hasn't been charged with anything yet, so he's still innocent. As I would understand, I would think even in New Zealand, you're innocent until proven guilty, as far as I know. Let's see. So now, continuing on here, and this is of course Rachel talking more here. All Scarlett said she wanted was, quote unquote, accountability or some recognition that she had been abused. Our intention with Master was to probe the grayest of gray areas, allegations of sexual abuse within an otherwise consensual relationship. So here and here and here's also something here, and I know I've heard from certain sources, some people have mentioned that Neil Gaiman actually does have text messages that do kind of indicate that a lot of these situations were consensual. Now, mind you, Gaiman's response in all this he hasn't outright denied that it didn't happen. He's just been saying that it was a consensual situation, that it was a consensual. It was not. It was consensual, not non-consensual. So, in response to the allegations, Gaiman has denied any wrongdoing, with his representatives calling the claims quote, false and not to mention deplorable. These accusations have led to professional consequences, with Dark Horse Comics announcing they will no longer publish Gaiman's works, probably one of the more recent situations, and Netflix adding that they are ending his critically acclaimed, in smaller quotes, the Sandman series. Gaiman's ex-wife, Amanda Palmer, has stated she is, quote, profoundly disturbed by the allegations. Now, mind you, there have been a lot of people critical of Palmer's role in all this too, and of course, the other article we're going to be doing is another Avi article. Avi Green from Bleeding Full here has been one of the ones who's been highly critical of both Gaiman and Palmer here. But Rachel Johnson is a London Standard columnist and says that as the situation continues to develop, she hopes ongoing discussions about power dynamics and consent continue to take place in the literary world. So there we go with that article. I knew that one was going to be a quicker the two articles. And again, if you haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. I'd appreciate it. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Now we're going to get to Avi's article. That's his latest article on the matter. Cancellation roundup here. Let's see. Cancellation roundup. Neil Gaiman dropped from Netflix, DC Comics, Kickstarter, and more. Article, of course, by Avi Green, published February 3rd. So this one is going to be a little bit more meaty, as it were. The Netflix. So this is Avi speaking, of course, again. Variety announced the Netflix Sandman adaptation is ending with its second season due to the Neil Gaiman sexual assault. Now, again, a reminder, Neil Gaiman has not actually been charged yet. He's just been accused. These are allegations. And so, the principle of innocent until proven guilty still applies here, folks, despite what many screaming on the left, many screaming out there want to say about it. And again, interesting thing here, at least with this story that Avi's been. I don't know if Avi's been listening to any of my if he has listened to any of my previous reports on him or not, or when I myself or I and my panel have talked about stuff with him, but he has been kind of supporting what he's saying by infusing more references here, referring to certain articles and stuff like that. So at least you can applaud that, because a lot of times one of mine and other people's criticism of Avi's reporting here is that he doesn't always support what he says, with other facts. He doesn't follow up with more, with like sources and stuff. So it's good to see that he's using more sources to kind of, build on what he's trying to get at. So anyway, so this is from the Variety article. So Netflix's adaptation of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman will end with its upcoming second season. The Sandman season 2 has been a long time coming. The first season debuted in August 2022, and it wasn't renewed at Netflix until November of that year. At that time, Netflix was also hesitant to label it as a second season at all, choosing instead to say it was, quote, a continuation of, in smaller quotes, The Sandman, unsmaller quote, unquoted, world, and wouldn't commit to an episode count. Variety has confirmed the second season of The Sandman, in quotes there, was intended to be the last prior to filming in 2023. Confirmation of the show's conclusion comes on the heels of several sexual misconduct accusations leveled at Gaiman, who created, quote unquote, The Sandman. DC Comics, who created The Sandman, well, maybe Vertigo's version of The Sandman, but actually DC had a Sandman character prior to this, from back in the 40s, just so you all know, and developed the TV series. However, prior to the accusations first brought against Gaiman in a Tortoise Media podcast in July 2024, sources close to, quote unquote, The Sandman were already telling Variety the pricey series produced by Warner Brothers Television for Netflix was intending to end with its second season when production was underway in summer 2023. The reveal of season 2 characters that were cast in May 2024 further indicated the series was jumping to the end of the comics much sooner than fans anticipated. All right, so that was the. So this is Avi's response to the Variety article, or what was said in the Variety article right there on the matter. All right. So it's expensive to produce. I'm sure quite a few TV shows nowadays are, but morality should play a part here regardless. This was surely to be expected at this point. Um, a little earlier, Dexerto said it looks like Netflix is releasing the second season of the adaptation with little or no fanfare. Now, again, mind you, it's like if this series was initially succeeding, um, if people were watching it and they were making money off of it, kind of like what was said in the last article we read about the whole idea is that, gaming could be considered a bit of a cash cow. But then when stuff like this, just what's the reality? Because you still have a lot of people fervently supporting gaming at this point. Even if a lot of corporations and stuff are trying to wash their hands of him, as it were. So, let's go into the Dexerto article here. The sexual assault allegations against Neil Gaiman has led to multiple upcoming projects being canceled, but Netflix remained quiet about the Sandman Season 2 until now. Netflix just dropped the trailer for its packed out TV movie and gaming schedule for 2025. And in a blink and you'll miss it moment, the Sandman Season 2 crops up on the list. It's unclear how involved Gaiman has been in the production of the second chapter, which is based on the writer's DC comic book of the same name. Alongside the confirmation, Netflix shared a new synopsis for Season 2, Dream of the Endless. After a fateful reunion with his family, must face one impossible decision after another as he attempts to save himself, his kingdom, and the waking world from the epic fallout of his past mistakes. Unquote. And here's Avi responding to that portion of the article. That could almost easily describe the trouble Gaiman's now in. After various sources in the entertainment world distanced themselves from him following Tortoise Media's initial reports, if memory serves, Gaiman reportedly offered to resign from production staff after the scandal first came around. But even if he's not involved in the current season, what's the use of tuning in to see a TV show based on such an overrated comic series? Now, mind you, that's obviously Avi's opinion. He's entitled to it. I personally have no opinion because I've never actually read that particular series or watched a TV series. So read the comic or read that particular comic or watched the TV series. So, but Avi has his opinion about it and has a right to it. So I'll never understand what's so special about it that it's just got to be adapted to live action or even animation. Well, there are people who would disagree with you, Avi. That's the thing, and that's a big part of it. There are a lot of people who actually disagree, and I wonder if maybe Avi is allowing his personal distaste for the material that Neil produces or publishes cloud his more objective reasoning. Not to say that if it is found that Gaiman did in fact assault these women, then he rightfully does deserve to be canceled. But he's still in it. He still he still should have the benefit of the doubt of being innocent until proven guilty. The AV Club says, so this is from the AV Club. This doesn't come as a surprise for a couple reasons. Game titles have been getting the axe left and right in the wake of horrific allegations of sexual assault published about the author by outlets like Tortoise Media and Vulture. This week, a UK musical based on Gaiman's novel Caroline permanently shut its doors. Disney and Netflix canceled their adaptations of The Graveyard Book and Dead Boy Detectives, respectively, while Prime Video converted the upcoming third season of Good Omens into a single 90-minute episode. With no involvement from the disgraced author, Gaiman was also dropped by Dark Horse Comics, which canceled its ongoing adaptation of its 2005 novel Anansi Boys. Now, here's another question to be asked here. What if he does get arrested, and what if he does end up going to court, being charged with this, and what if he is found not guilty? Might he not have maybe some legal, might not there be some legal ramifications? Might he not be able to, if he's found not guilty, found that, he's not guilty of assaulting these women, would he then not have some form of, a reprisal due, Now, again, the thing is, too, is that one of the bigger parts of this story that's been talked about quite a bit, we've seen it in other articles, and Avi's pointing this out, too, is that, Gaiman has come, Gaiman is one of those who's come out as, quote-unquote, a male feminist, somebody who was sitting here when the whole Me Too movement was starting up, was saying, oh, believe all women, And as many men who have gone that route have found out, as we found out, there's a bit of hypocrisy in that, because when they get accused, and all of a sudden, no, I didn't do that. Don't believe her, So again, which is it? Believe all women or don't? What should be the answer really is, don't be so quick to believe everything you hear. Process it, think about it, think critically about it. Look at all the evidence that's presented, then make your decision. Right? Which canceled its ongoing adaptation of his 2005 novel Anansi Boys. And Fandom Wire says, so this is Avi now alluding to an article from Fandom Wire here. Neil Gaiman, the best-selling author behind The Sandman, Good Omens, and American Gods, has been in the headlines for unsettling reasons. 8 women have accused him of SA, abuse, and coercion. The reports of these assaults span decades, with one dating back to the 80s. The first allegations emerged in July 2024, and it has since been a downward spiral for Gaiman. The champion of fantasy is now stuck in a storm of allegations. As a result of such untoward reports, many projects based on Gaiman's works have been halted or canceled. The people allegedly subjected to Gaiman's diabolical acts range from fans to people working for him. Even though the British author maintains that all these sexual encounters were consensual, the multiple claims of abuse made against him do not help his case. Either way, he has suffered plenty of damage to his reputation. And just because it's and the whole premise of just because it's 8 women instead of just one who's accusing him, therefore it must make the allegations automatically more credible. Is that what even though there's been no evidence proving that, and of course we do have the ongoing police investigation in New Zealand about it, right? So and there's no need to feel sorry for him. Of course, it's a shame when authors like him turn out to be wolves in sheep's clothing. But alas, this is reality, and human beings are not infallible. That's the important lesson in this whole affair. Well, that part I would agree with. That part, yeah. As human beings, we all fall short, right? We come into this world falling short. We leave this world falling short. So, yeah. But and let me also make another point, going back to Avi's point about feeling sorry for him. Like I myself, I don't feel sorry for him. It's not. I'm not taking up his. I'm not even trying to more or less take up his cause. I'm just looking at it from a more, straightforward, objective point of view. I have no skin in the game. I've never met Gaiman. If the accusations do turn out to be true, then yeah, he deserves everything he's getting. But if it's just another case of people, seeing a target and trying to cancel him because of one thing or another, or whether they're trying to get rich or they're trying to get famous, or or just trying to further their agenda, whatever, then that's wrong. That's wrong on their end. So and again, looking at it from a purely objective point of view, don't mistake that for feeling sorry for him. So CEO Today wrote an otherwise sugar-coated take on the issue. So this that Avi pointing that out. So this is from CEO Today. Neil Gaiman, one of the most influential authors of the modern era, has captivated millions with his imaginative storytelling across multiple mediums, from novels to comics to film and television. And again, as contrary to Avi's personal distaste for his material, there are people who like it enough to have wanted to spend the money on it, right? His knack for blending the surreal and the fantastical with deeply human themes has earned him a devoted following worldwide. Yeah, he's had people who, But recently, Gaiman has found himself at the center of controversy after allegations of sexual misconduct emerged, leading to the cancellation of his highly anticipated musical adaptation of Coraline. So who is Neil Gaiman, and how have these allegations affected his career? And then we're going to get Avi's response to that statement here. It may be one thing to write surreal fantasy, but the level of violence in several storylines went much too far for me, as did the sexual violence and other troubling scenes that took place there. All right. Now, Avi, we and I acknowledge, if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. But again, I did, from what I have read of Avi's coverage on this, of course, I do at times feel that he allows his personal distaste for Gaiman's work to maybe cloud his more objective viewpoint as a reporter. Or what should be his more objective viewpoint as a reporter. And again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything grabs your attention here. Also, if anything, if you can help me out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated as well. If you haven't already. So continuing on with this, then, let's see, where are we at? All right. Do we really need these kind of monstrosities in adult entertainment? Well, we may not necessarily need them, but there are those people out there who want them. There obviously is a fan base for it. Even if you're not, even if you're not part of that fan base, it doesn't negate the fact that there are people out there who happen to enjoy that particular entertainment. Right, wrong, or indifferent. People have a right to enjoy what they enjoy. As long as they don't take it serious, as long as they don't suffer some kind of psychotic break to where they conflate, reality and fantasy, and then go out and try to act out, said fantasies in a unhealthy and illegal manner. That of course not. Again, though, that's more your opinion. Interesting, they note how Gaiman builds on surreal storytelling, considering they've been PC advocates who've ostensibly been against it. Yet until recently, when men like Gaiman specialized in surrealism, all complaints were strangely non-existent. As for quote-unquote human themes, don't make me laugh. The way Gaiman depicted Morpheus' intentions with Leda and Hector in the Sandman series was insulting to the intellect, as was his approach to dealing with sex offenders in the 14th and 17th issues. And there were at least a few other examples in other comics he wrote that were just as appalling. They tell about Coraline. Again, though, that's again more Avi's opinion than maybe fact, because there probably are people who do see something. There may be people who did now. There are people who may, in fact, have a curiosity or even get some form of enjoyment in indulging the darker side of the human persona. Again, as long as it's enjoyed in a healthy manner, then there's really nothing wrong with it, So, anyways, before I get into this next part here, because I guess he's going back to the article here, I do need to step away for a moment I do need to step away from the camera for a moment. So I'm going to put some music on for you while I'm gone. I'll be right back. Of course, again, if you can help out by liking, sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. And I'll be right back. well, I'm back now. Now we have another person here. Um, Again, just for the person who just came in, um, we're following up on some more Neil Gaiman stuff. Um, our So hopefully you'll get some inkling about it. But if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, of course, let's continue on with the article here, as we will now be going back to the article, the previous article that from the CEO today that that Avi is relating here. So, however, it's his 2002 dark fantasy novel Coraline that has arguably cemented his place as a master of children's literature. Although Coraline was originally considered too frightening for children, the book went on to become a beloved classic, winning numerous literary awards, including the Hugo, Nebula, and Bram Stoker Awards. The success of Coraline led to a 2009 animated film adaptation, which earned a BAFTA and an Academy Award nomination. Now here is going back to Avi's response to the CEO Today article here. I wonder if an author who penned a tale with happier tones would win the kind of accolades Gaiman mysteriously did 2 decades ago. If not, that just makes clear what's wrong, not the least being with how Gaiman was often stuck on darkness throughout his career. And how did he seemingly become popular? Well, again, some people just have a taste for that. Just because you don't have a taste for it doesn't necessarily mean that it's that's necessarily wrong. All right, continuing on here. So this is going back to the CEO Today article, I believe. Gaiman's rise to fame is largely attributed to his ability to blend genres and appeal to both young readers and adults. His early career as a journalist helped him hone his writing style, but it was his work in comics that truly set him apart. His series, The Sandman, revolutionized the comic book world, pushing the boundaries of what comics could achieve as a literary form. With the mix of mythological references, gothic horror, philosophical undertones, Gaiman's writing quickly transcended the comic book world, reaching a wider audience of literature enthusiasts. Not clear. Okay, so here's Avi speaking again. Not clearly mentioned is that he began writing short stories around the same time as he worked in journalism. One he wrote 3 decades ago was, quote, snow glass apples, unquote, and was a bizarre reversal of the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs fable, where the princess is depicted as something like a vampire. Need I continue? Well, again, some people might enjoy that. There have been people over time who have enjoyed kind of those flip the script story type stories, where you take a classic story or a classic element and flip it on its head. There are people who are into that. Okay, again, just because you're not Javi doesn't necessarily make it wrong. Let's see. Decidedly not. Suffice it to say, the story was intended as a charity drive or something for the CBLDF, an outfit so phony nobody need hire any of their services for cases involving comics. So this is going back to the article that Avi's referencing then. Gaiman's recent brush with scandal has raised questions about how allegations can impact even the most successful creators. While Gaiman continues to deny any wrongdoing, the repercussions of the accusations may haunt his reputation for some time. It remains to be seen how this controversy will affect his future projects and relations within the industry. However, the recent allegations may lead to a shift in how Gaiman is perceived by both his fans and the industry. While he remains one of the most celebrated writers of his generation, the coming months may prove to be a pivotal moment in his career as he attempts to navigate the fallout from the accusations and continue his creative pursuits. Hmm. 48. So, and then this is Avi's response to that. Gee, I'm not sure there'll be more quote unquote creative pursuits for a long time after this. There was a very successful Kickstarter campaign or Kickstarter project for adapting Good Omens as a graphic novel, which just announced that Gaiman will not be getting any residuals on. Hmm. Um, so going back to the article here, it has also been agreed that Neil Gaiman will not receive any proceeds from the graphic novel Kickstarter, given the project management, production, and all communication has always been under the jurisdiction of the estate on behalf of Good Omens at large. This will not fundamentally change the project itself. However, we can confirm the Kickstarter and pledge manager will now fully be an entity run by and financially connected to the Terry Pratchett estate only. So, and here's Avi's response to that. Well, Gaiman certainly embarrassed Pratchett's legacy. It was a mistake to co-write the novel with him, that's for sure. Was it? I mean, was it really a mistake? I mean, if the novel, you may want to, and again, it may be a little premature to be severing ties, unless until he's found guilty, because you're going to look like fools if he's found not guilty. But the fact is that you did co-write it. Fact is, you are making money on it, right? So I don't know if it was really a mistake to co-write it. If it ends up making you rich, So anyway, in one more related subject, the Babylon Bee wrote a satirical take on the news, where they write that Gaiman joined up with the Islamo-fascist who ran sexual assault gangs in cities in Rotherham over the years. While it's an interesting comment on both cases, let's still consider that sexual violence is not a laughing matter, and even satire parody doesn't instantly make such items worthy. So your mileage can vary on what they published. Then here's more from Avi here on the matter. That said, an interesting point can be made from the Bee's satire as to how phony Gaiman's advocacies really are. Where was he all these years when defenseless girls were being violated by Islamo-fascists in Britain? His failure to show the courage to speak out against these atrocities only compounds what a false quote-unquote feminist he really is. Just as much as his own offenses, Gaiman's past silence on the subject definitely speaks volumes, and is one more reason why his downfall is for the best. Now, here's an update. Eric Kane at Forbes addressed the subject, and at the end he said, even if Netflix was not planning to renew The Sandman, this is just another in a long string of blows the British author has taken since allegations first surfaced. Still, while I've been upset by other Netflix cancellations, I'm apathetic here. I couldn't get into the first season and never read the comics. So, and then this is, of course, Avi responding to that statement. He's not missing anything, in my opinion. The comics were tasteless and written at the expense of at least a few characters from the DCU proper. Notably, probably the original Sandman himself. Arguably, they even precipitated a lot of the worst moments that occurred in DC history in later years. That the stories were supposedly nods to Shakespeare is no excuse. Update 2. Update 2. 13th Dimension has discovered that a facsimile edition of the Sandman series' 8th issue has been canceled by DC Comics and Lunar Distribution. A sign that DC Marvel may be canceling their paperback hardcover reprints of Gaiman's writings for them too. And it goes without saying that back issues of his comics will be worthless on the speculator market now after the news of the scandal came out. Well, there we go with that. Alrighty then. So there we go with that. We go with that article. So those articles took pretty much almost an entire hour. But what we're going to do now, of course, we're going to move on to the wrestling wrap up here. Again, if you guys haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that being said, now, go ahead and first off, let's look back to last night's Monday Night Raw, in the aftermath, of course, of the of the Royal Rumble, as well as kind of the prelude to the prelude setup for the upcoming Elimination Chamber on March 1st, and of course the continuing build towards this year's WrestleMania as well. So the opening match of the evening saw Penta continue his winning ways, by defeating Ludwig Kaiser. At least in singles action, Penta still remains undefeated. His only loss, of course, was at the Royal Rumble. The New Day of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods defeated the LWO members of Speed Champion Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio. In an Elimination Chamber qualifying match for the Women's Elimination Chamber, Liv Morgan was able to defeat Io Sky by DQ. There had been some talk possibly of Sky possibly taking on Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. So, the avenues for her to do that seem to be shrinking, but we may wait and see. And in a match for the men's Elimination Chamber qualifying match, CM Punk defeated Sami Zayn, in which CM Punk becomes the second man to be entered into the Elimination Chamber after John Cena, who is also looking to. Of course, after the match, Sami Zayn was attacked by Kevin Owens, possibly setting up a potential match at WrestleMania between Owens and Zayn, the two former best friends, as it were. Also happening on last night, coming off of her Royal Rumble win, Charlotte Flair came out to of course give a promo, and was subsequently booed as many of the fans were not happy with her winning, and apparently the heat that Jey Uso got from people for his win in the male Royal Rumble is only coming from the internet, coming from social media, as the fans at the arena still are behind him. And Jey Uso, of course, did have a promo last night in which he got a rousing ovation from the crowd, for the win. And it looks like they may be possibly setting up a match between him and Gunther for WrestleMania for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Charlotte Flair was, of course, eventually confronted by Rhea Ripley. Right now, the intended plan is possibly for Charlotte to be taking on Tiffany Stratton, but if the fans don't warm up to Charlotte here, they may change course, because they're trying to pitch Charlotte as the face here and Tiffany Stratton as the heel, but I don't think they want two heels. At least according to one analyst, they don't want two heels wrestling each other at WrestleMania. So that may have been part of the reason why they kind of hinted at a possibility of Flair taking on Rhea Ripley instead. But anyways, let's look ahead now to tonight's NXT, which sees in action here. So the match is tonight is going to open up with Stephanie McCurry taking on JC Jane of I don't think it's it's not Metaphor. I can't even remember Fallon Henley's group now, but Stephanie McCurry taking on JC Jane, looking to get some vengeance on that group for Fallon Henley's interference and getting Stephanie McCurry stripped of her number one contendership for the North American title. Oba Femi teams with rival Trick Williams to take on A-Town Down Under in a tag team match. Kalani Jordan set to take on Carmen Petrovich in a singles match, and Ridge Holland will be taking on Channing Lorenzo of the family. So that's all I got for the WWE side of things. One little piece of AEW news I could kind of report on. While Paige is Saraya, as it were, is still signed with AEW, her contract is due up possibly in September of this year. Now, there has been talk that once her contract is up, she might go to the WWE, but that still may be, again, towards the end of the year here. So that's been kind of floated out there. But that's all I got for you guys for the wrestling wrap-up now. So what we'll do now, of course, from there, we will now, with today being, as I said, Tuesday, February the 4th, 2025. Let's go ahead and take a look back on this day in Neat's history. History! So, first off, I'm going to head back 75 years ago. And on this date, 75 years ago today, a significant thing happened in Cincinnati that would lead to many of a thing. Many of us grew up in the 80s, 70s, 80s with. So on this date, 50 years ago today, Cincinnati TV station WLWT, which was owned at the time by Crosley Broadcasting Corporation, innovates televised studio wrestling when it debuts a wrestling show produced at a station studios. Now, of course, this was an innovation that was used throughout the country during the, particularly during the territory days. That led, of course, to, some of the programs throughout the NWA territories, including, Memphis Wrestling that eventually became AWA, and eventually became its own USWA, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling in the Mid-Atlantic territories, Championship Wrestling in Florida, Georgia Championship Wrestling, all these localized, the wrestling shows from the Olympic Auditorium out here in Southern California. Well, it was 50 years ago today that Cincinnati TV station WLWT started the whole studio wrestling, studio produced wrestling shows that you would see on a lot of local television stations. So that happened 75 years ago today. Now, moving ahead to 1965, on this date in 1965, which was 60 years ago today, on this date 60 years ago today, the 120th issue of Patsy Walker from Marvel, at the time known as Bard Publishing Corporation, went on sale on this date back in 1965. It sold for the bi-monthly comic that sold for 12 cents, was 32 pages. The story here was What Can We Do About Nancy Brown? Written, of course, by Stan Lee and with art by Sol Brodsky. So on this date in 1965, 60 years ago today, 120th issue of Patsy Walker went on sale on this date. As Marvel called her, the prettiest gal in town. There we go with that. And now, moving ahead to 1995, 30 years ago today, on this date in 1995, Sunrise's The Brave of Gold Run premiered on Japanese television on this date back in 1995. So, premiering on what is now known as ANN, what was known then, I believe, as Nagoya TV. Sunrise's The Brave of Gold Gold Run premiered on Nagoya TV on this date back in 1995. So the plot of it was three boys, Takuya, Kazuki, and Dai, are from Ishinoa Elementary School in the 6th grade. They are actively a strong, curious, and mischievous trio. They obtain a mysterious Jewel's Power Stone They bring back Dran, the golden robot, a brave who slept within a power stone and became his master. However, Prince Walter Walzak, who wants the power stone, has attacked them. They then go on an adventure for searching 8 power stones that were scattered all over the world, searching for El Dorado's Legendra with Goldran. So, 30 years ago today, The Brave of Goldran from Sunrise premiered on Japanese television. So, with that being said, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we're back here with more Niche News tomorrow. Also, this Sunday, Metal from the Vomitorium will be joining me, as we will be looking back. We'll be going back to April of 1940, looking back at comics that went on sale in April of 1940. As we'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Quality Comics. We'll, of course, be looking through Hit Comics #1, National Comics #1, Smash Comics #11, and Feature Comics #33. We'll be introducing everybody, or in some cases, for those who may have already knew of the characters, reintroducing everybody to, of course, Red B, Beyond the Unknown, Uncle Sam, and of course, Quality's version of Merlin, Jock Kellogg. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.